All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City of Lacey Human Services Work Group for Thursday, November 7th, 2024. First order of business, we will handle our roll call. And I wanted to start with our online attendees. Jim Broman.
I'm here.
Nathaniel Clay. Can't hear you, Nate.
He's muted.
Here.
There you are. Thank you, sir. All right, Tiffany Walker.
Here.
And Nancy Dila.
Here.
Brandon Stevens is present. That's myself. Elhaj Torre. Here. And Dalia Martinez is excused tonight. She won't be present. And our newest member, Angelina Goldwell.
Present.
Great. Wanted to move on to item number 3, our land acknowledgement. We, the City of Lacey, are on ancestral land of the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek, including the Nisqually Indian Tribe and Squaxin Island Tribe. We acknowledge and remember those tribal people not recognized today who were absorbed and relocated into other tribes for survival. We recognize the ancestors, their descendants who are still here. We recognize and respect the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek as the traditional stewards of this land since time immemorial, and their role today in taking care of these lands in perpetuity. We recognize and have the responsibility to call attention to the histories of dispossession, forced removal, and abridged treaty rights that allowed our nation, state, and city to develop as it has today. We recommend that every community member read the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854. And item number 4 today is going to be the approval of the amended agenda, previous meeting minutes, and the consent items. Do I have a motion to approve that?
A motion to approve the previous agenda and meeting minutes.
Do I have a second? Do we have any discussion on that? All right, we do not have any discussion. We're going to look to approve the approval of an amended agenda, previous meeting minutes, and consent items. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Great, those are approved. It doesn't look like we had anybody signed up for public comment. So we'll go ahead and move on to business items, and Michelle Chavez is going to be introducing our newest work group member, Angelina Goldwell.
All right, thank you so much, Chair. I would like to introduce you all to our newest work group member, Angelina Goldwell. She is here. She went through the same process of interviewing as you all did, and she was on one of our chosen alternates. And so we had a member step down, and she was kind enough to agree to participate. She was confirmed on Tuesday at the city council meeting, and she's jumping right in. 2 days later, here she is. So, Angela, do you wanna, thought it'd be nice if you could introduce yourself, and then I'll have them go around and talk about a little bit about their background and
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Angelina. I've been living in Lacey for the past decade. I have lived in a lot of different parts of this country, but prior to living here, I was in Los Angeles. I spent the first 8 years or so that I was here working for the First United Methodist Church of Olympia, and which is a progressive faith community. And currently I am working for the state. I have a spouse, a 10-year-old Malamute, and who likes to sleep. This is her season. And a little guy who is turning 6 in a couple weeks.
nice.
So thanks so much.
Welcome. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being here. Nancy?
I'm new to Lacey. We only moved here. It's been about a year now. And so it's been, for me, it's been an opportunity to see and hear some of the things that are happening, and also have an eye on where both myself and my husband can do some volunteer time. So it's been really
Nice.
good.
Elhaj?
Yeah, so I've been living in this area for about 10 years. I'm a high school senior, and I'm also part of the youth council, and I'm the representative for this group, which is why I'm here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm applying to college.
Nice.
Yeah,
Big steps
I'm
ahead.
excited for, you know, for what's to come, and I'm also excited to contribute to this group.
Nice.
Yes, I am. My name is Brandon Stevens. I have been a Lacey resident for almost 43 years. My whole life. So yes, I'm born and raised here. I went to North Thurston High School, attended Pacific Lutheran University, kind of a local kid. And I just work here in this group in order to give back to my community, and I've had such a pleasant time with everybody here, and Michelle just and everybody at the City of Lacey just doing amazing work. And we're really happy that you stepped up to just fill in and jump into this group. And it's gonna be a lot coming at you quick because we had to catch up so fast. So we're definitely happy to have you here.
Absolutely. Well, Michelle was extremely helpful, and so she sent, I've had a chance to review, previous month's minutes and, the supporting documentation agendas, things like that. So
Yeah.
I don't think I have like an amazing handle on it, but I have a toe in the water.
There you go.
So.
We can introduce a few people online or just
Yeah,
around the table.
yeah, online as well. I'll throw it to Nate.
Hi, I'm Nathaniel Clay. I've lived in Lacey for about 6 years now. I was a student at Timberline High School. I was in the youth council, but now I'm a freshman at Pacific Lutheran University, and it's really cool to meet you.
Jim.
Good evening and welcome to you folks to the work group. My name is Jim Burlman. I'm a resident of Lacey for about 35 years, retired fire chief for Lacey Fire District, and now live with my wife and two precious little felines we live at Bonaventure and senior living in Lacey down just off Yelm Highway. And glad to be part of the group. Welcome.
Thanks, Jim.
And Tiffany.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Walker. I have been in Lacey since 2018. I am a homeowner. I am married with 5 kids and 1 bonus kid. I have 4 grandchildren, 1 on the way. I am the Family Resource and Prevention Program Manager at Family Support Center, soon to be transferring to the Rapid Rehousing Program Manager position. I am also on the board for Thurston County's advisory to the Regional Housing Board. We call it the TAHAB. And I just want to say welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Sorry, Michelle, real quick, before we continue, I wanted to remind I forgot to mention this to our remote attendees. If you could, make sure that you have your cameras on so we can see when your hands are raised. If you don't have your camera on, we won't be able to know when you are wanting to speak. So just a reminder for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
And I will just give a quick little background on me. I am fairly new to this community. I moved here a couple years ago. This is my little over a year with the City of Lacey. I've worked for the city a little over a year. My daughter went to Evergreen. That's why I kind of came here. But this is my 26th year working in local government. So I had almost 20 years working for the city of Minneapolis. I'm from Minnesota originally, and you might hear the weird O accent, but and then I went to grad school and I lived in Arizona for a while, for 5 years, and I worked there in the city of Prescott. So I've had a little bit of different sizes, really big city, small city, even smaller than Lacey, and now at Lacey, which is we're at right about 60,000. So I'm new as well and learning from all of you, and I appreciate so much the talent that this work group brings to the table. Everybody that we interviewed was amazing to be on the work group, and everybody had amazing skill sets, and everybody brings a special perspective, and we really, really appreciate
Absolutely.
where people are coming from. So welcome. You glad to be here.
All right, well, if that's going to bring us into 6B, our Human Services Grant Program Draft Policy Revision. Back to you, Michelle.
Okay, so the first staff report that I have tonight is we've been talking about making potential amendments to the Human Services Grant Program policy. And there's no action needed tonight, where this is just to get feedback from you all on the staff report, where we talked about this last time. And a couple different things that have come up. Two of the items that came up on October 8th, or October 3rd at the work group and October 8th at the city council was to possibly put a maximum amount on the grant award for capital and public service. And then limit the number of applications that could be applied for per agency to one. So we looked at having opportunities to look at possible funding options for caps at 25,000, 30,000, and 50,000. If we had a cap at 25,000, we could do 12 fully funded applications. If we had a cap at 30,000, we could do 10 fully funded applications. And then if we had a cap of 50, we could do 6 fully funded applications. And so I wanted to get feedback from the group. What do you think about those maximum grant funding ideas?
Go ahead.
Um,
You know, I was waiting for someone else to speak up.
Yeah, please. I appreciate you all catching me up. Is there a sense, so when I was reading through stuff, it looked like there were points awarded additionally to groups that had matching funding as part of their application. I'm curious, I didn't see, but it's possible I just didn't read closely enough. Was there an indication in any of the applications of if this is not full, this is either fully funded and it can happen, or it doesn't receive full funding and it just is off the table for that agency?
I believe we did have a question that said, if you were to get this funding, what would that mean for your
Right.
program or project?
We did have that on the rubric.
Okay, great, fantastic.
The only thing I worry about, in limiting the possible funded cap at 25,000 is I'm assuming we'll likely have more applications the next time around. But the problem is I feel like on the last one, there were few that weren't funded and then we had to move funds to other people, right? So do we feel like we'd be limiting? We didn't have enough, basically, it felt like, so we had to move funds up. So we didn't even have enough to fully fund our grant based on the scores of the rubric. There was some that didn't score high enough, didn't get anything, and then we had to move funds to other people. Nancy?
I remember the discussion about this was carved out of the county budget, the city budget. And is it a reasonable assumption that we're gonna be operating with a similar amount of dollars, but not an increase?
Yes.
Okay,
The amount slotted for 2025 is similar.
okay.
And we're likely to keep it for, the cap would be the same on both, whether it's capital project or public service project. Is that what we're requesting still is to be the same? Possibly? Just leave
I
it.
believe the idea is to create, we could have different caps for
Yeah.
different types of projects. 50,000 to me for capital seems reasonable. We could change that, but again, the capitals can be so expensive that one project could take
Yeah.
up all the
I
funds.
definitely we need to have a cap. I just wonder if 25,000 might be too low, then we don't have enough applicants that successfully completed the rubric scores.
Yeah, it could be that we have capital projects 50 and public service 30 or something like that.
Yes.
It could be both capped at 50, but just keep in mind, we were right around 31,233 with what we could fund the most agencies who received the funds this time. So
Okay, Tiffany? Hope you're muted still.
I like the idea of 50,000 and 30,000 caps. I also like the idea of matching funds. I work with a group called Help Us Move In at the Family Support Center, and we work with them and we get match funds from them once a year, and we match their dollars dollar for dollar. So that I do like the idea of that as well, but I do like it capping at 50 and 30,000 as well.
50,000 capital projects?
Yep. Yep.
I'm curious, I wonder if within this, the maximum award, particularly for the capital projects, we wouldn't necessarily want a capital project that says it's gonna cost $50,000 because it's gonna cost more than $50,000. So is there a way to build in something like you need to give us a budget that is $50,000 that includes a 10% contingency fund or a certain percentage of, so they are asking for $35,000 with $15,000 of cap room because delays happen, things happen.
That's a good point. And I want to make a note that I am gonna bring back the application and the rubric. I just brought the policy today, but we have time to tweak all of this is really good feedback. And that what I'm hearing is, you know, we had conversations about the rubric too, about things we need to change, make more clear. I like the idea about the matching funds. We could make that mandatory to say that you have to have matching funds. Or we could weight things differently. We're gonna go through all of that again.
Yeah, I do like that idea, that it may potentially change your score if you have matching funds. That might weight it differently.
Yep.
That might be a good option to toss around when we finally decide to finalize the rubric, the new scoring rubric.
Right.
Yes, Nancy?
So,
I see you, Jim, one second.
Jim, go first.
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
I just wanted to speak in favor of the $50,000 limit on capital. And I think you said 30 on the other projects. Is that correct?
Yes.
I would speak in favor of that.
I have to agree with you on that one too, Jim. What about you, Nancy? What were you gonna say?
It's gone.
All right, sorry. It's fleeting, I understand. Was there any other discussion on that?
I think the only thing we might wanna think about when it comes to matching, dollars is that, in my experience, tends to be something that is more possible for more established organizations, and if we wanna
For
make this
fundraisers.
accessible to folks who are just starting up with their
Yeah.
human services program.
Yeah, we have been very cognizant on this board of being aware that some people may not have had the experience or aren't as large of an organization when it comes to grant funding. So we definitely keep that in mind, and we definitely will bring that up, I think. Oh, Haj, do you have anything to add, or?
I originally was going to say that I like the 25,000 cap because it allows for like the most amount of I guess fully funded projects instead of just like 6, I think, which is what,
I know.
yeah, yeah, it just allows for like the most amount of fully funded projects, which I think will be more beneficial to like help as much organizations as possible. But I can see why Jim and some of you guys said that, you know, it's better for there to be a 50,000 limit because capital projects can be more expensive.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I just wanted to say.
Let's see. Yeah, no, I think I just worry that like it's almost hard to really decide on how we should fund these without having an idea of how many applicants we have. Does feel a little bit difficult to decide that beforehand. If we had knew prior to this last one, we may have changed it, knowing that we couldn't, that we had to move some funds above what some people were asking.
Could we, I'm so sorry.
No, yeah, Nancy's, yeah, she's got
So I
one.
have two things.
Yes.
Will the CPDG grant, will any of the capital projects possibly go after that and lighten up the ask on capital projects?
Yes, 100%. So CDBG, and I'm gonna do a much more in-depth presentation next on that. And CDBG, a majority of those dollars have to be spent on brick and mortar.
Mhm.
Tiffany?
Sorry. I was just gonna say, I currently work with about a $400,000 budget for a fiscal year for one of the programs that I oversee. And that money is already gone. And so, you know, working with 300,000, we're not going to be able to serve that many community partners. Uh, and so I do agree also with the 25,000 per entity, but it's just like either way you go, we're not going to be able to appease everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because the funding is not very much. You know what I mean? So I like to be able to spread the wealth around. So if it's possible to go lower and serve more people, I'm in favor of that as well.
Yeah, I guess what, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was wondering, has it been previously discussed that instead of doing a monetary limit, do a percentage limit? So no program, no project can be more than 10% of the available funding for the, yeah, especially since, as Michelle and Tiffany both brought up, if capital campaigns also, or capital projects also have more of a possibility of receiving funding from the community block grant, or that's more intentionally towards brick and mortar, it makes me wonder about, if that might be an easier pull than saying capped amounts. Just because, since to Alhaj's point about wanting to have equity and equitable distribution of funding, because, yeah, certainly I think there's some conversation to be had about if an organization is asking for something that would be 25% of the funding that's available to us, then, right, because the $50,000 cap, that's, what is that? That's a sixth of the budget.
Yeah, I mean, we had people that were requesting the whole budget in just one,
Mhm.
so. It's it.
I really appreciate that, and that one of the things that we like to do is give the city council lots of options. So you'll notice when we bring forward a recommendation from like the community groups or the advisory boards, we'll say, option one is this, option 2, 3, 4, up to 5 different options. So one of them could be a percentage instead of a cap, percentage of the
Yeah, it
budget.
does, it's nice to have another option for them to decide. Nancy, did you have one last thing? No.
So we don't have to decide anything today. I just wanted to get feedback on your ideas. It sounds like folks from the work group are supportive of some type of cap, 50,000 or 25 or 30 for 50 for capital, 25 or 30 for public service. And then looking at different ways to slice the pie, maybe a percentage or maybe a cap, but going forward, we'll have to bring this forward to city council. We'll bring it back to you. You don't have to make any decisions tonight. We just wanted to continue the dialogue. We're gonna continue going back and refining and tweaking because this is the first year. And whenever anything is new, you learn so much when you go through one cycle. And then
Absolutely.
as far as limiting the applications to one agency, are folks in favor of that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
all definitely agreed on that last time. I don't think there was any opposition.
Was there any discussion about proposals that might be collaborative or cross agencies? So let's say Family Support Center and the food bank decide to do a thing together. Is that a possibility? Would that count against the one proposal, or is it possible to do one proposal and then also provide a second one if it is sort of a collaborative or consensus based effort? Because I know certainly, as Tiffany's speaking about the Family Support Center, there is so much cross-pollination between nonprofits that that might encourage collaboration if that's an opportunity, if that is an option.
That's a really good point. We did have a question, I believe, on how do you collaborate with other agencies, but I don't think we weighted applications that had collaboration, so we could look at tweaking that too.
Jim?
I just wanted to say that I speak in favor of limiting to one agency. I had not given thought to the cross pollination or the collaboration. I think that's an interesting point for discussion, and I'm not really prepared to give an opinion on it tonight. I'd like to hear more discussion, and if we have the time, we can come back and it may be some type of strategy that we incorporate in the application process, or a way to encourage that and yet not penalize an agency because they did participate in a collaborative approach.
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly seem beneficial. Okay.
All right. I believe I have good feedback and we'll keep working on this and you'll see the policy and application and rubric come back before with changes and recommendations again. So that concludes my presentation on that item.
All right, then we'll move on to business item 6C, the Community Development Block Grant Program Introduction. Back to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Chair. Can everybody see the presentation?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so this is my second item and I'm going to do a brief presentation on this I have some slides to go over, but the Community Development Block Grant Program, just introducing this to you all. I think we started talking about this last meeting, about how when we talk about possibly creating a Human Services Commission, they would be responsible for the grant program and the federal dollars. So we have our local dollars, which you all have already looked at and allocated for this year. But we're gonna look at, we have some more dollars from the feds coming directly for next year. Would help if I use the right mouse. So what is go ahead.
Can I just clarify that those dollars, it's because we're separating from the city of Olympia and we're being considered on our own this year?
We are actually, yes, we are gonna be on our own.
Okay.
We're part of a consortium with Thurston County, Olympia, and all the different Thurston County communities. And the city council took action, I believe it was June 18th, to become its own standalone
Okay.
program. So the Community Development Block Grant Program, how many of you are familiar with this? Family Support Services probably gets dollars.
Tiffany, did you?
Yeah, she's familiar with it. So this is a federal program. It's managed by HUD. It started back in 1974 to Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act. It's just celebrated its 50 years of existence. They had a lot of celebrations this year all over the country about all the great programs and projects that CDBG has funded over the years. It's a formula-based project, and the idea is to help revitalize neighborhoods, create economic development, improve facilities and services in our communities. So how the Community Development Block Grant works, there's 3 national objectives. It has to benefit low to moderate income people. It has to it can aid in the prevention of slum or blight or meet an urgent need. The total allocation for 2024 was 3.3 billion spread across all the communities in the United States. I think Puerto Rico also. I think Guam maybe as well. And with the aid in the prevention of slum or blight, that is more when you have a community that has a designated area that's blighted, which I don't believe Lacey has any of that. And meeting an urgent need has to be a federal designated emergency crisis. So say a flood, a hurricane, a fire, tornado, earthquake, we would have to have an urgent need. And then they would give us the authority to spend these funds. So a majority of the bucket that Lacey's gonna be is the low to moderate income people, serving low to moderate income people. Eligible activities, the way the allocation is set up is 15% for public service. So when I was doing the research to set up the grant program, I noticed some communities did not allow capital projects in their general fund program because so much of the CDBG is capital focused. You can only do 15% in public service, and the ask is always way more than 20% of admin, so that would be staff time and training. And then the brick and mortar facilities would be public facilities, nonprofit facilities, food bank, community centers, homeless shelters, etc. Capital projects also include infrastructure. So this would be public works or parks projects in low to moderate income areas. So how do we know if a program or project is eligible to use these money? I would do the initial review, and if I wasn't unsure, then I consult our HUD office in Seattle. All programs and projects that we fund have to either meet a national objective, they have to do both, meet a national objective and be an eligible activity. And the way we certify who gets served, there's kind of three ways we can certify an area benefit, which I will show you a map of the latest Lacey map that shows which census tracts are certified for area benefit. Limited client benefit is where we can do a presumed benefit only for very certain buckets. So abused children, domestic violence victims, older adults, and homeless. Otherwise, we have to individually certify income. And then housing benefit is programs or projects that provide permanent residential structures that will be occupied by low to moderate income households. So all this was in this map was in your packet. This shows 2 areas where we could fund projects in the area, under the area benefit category. So if an infrastructure project came through or a facility project in these areas, they could be certified for that, under that category. Typically ineligible are general government expenses, funding city halls and police stations, political activities, certain income payments, and this one is a tricky one that comes up often. We cannot fund new permanent residential construction. So there's other pots of funds that HUD provides for that type of purpose. So for example, Habitat for Humanity, if we want to, we couldn't build a brand new Habitat house. We could maybe fund connections to the utilities or help with acquisition. But as far as building new structures, we could not use them for this.
Can you clarify what certain income payments might be? A couple of examples.
Certain income payments would be like emergency rental assistance. The maximum you can do is 3 months.
Okay.
So Lacey income limits, this is the most current income limits for this area. Typically, you know, it would be, the bottom line is the most people could make. So the family size is on top. If I had a family of 1, I could make up to 63,100. Family of 8 up to 119,000 to qualify. And you'll become very familiar with these kind of charts and documentation. I think they update these in the summer, so the 2025 ones probably won't get updated until next summer. This, I apologize, Tiffany's hand is raised.
Hey, Tiffany.
I was just gonna say, the AMIs, that stuff gets adjusted around October of every year.
Oh, thank you, Tiffany.
You're welcome.
I knew you'd know that.
Yeah, also, and if you're gonna consider using this money for rental assistance, I would limit it at the threshold of between 30 and 50% AMIs. Just a thought. So not saying that's what you should do.
Thank you for that. And then the top of this chart got cut off, but the left column is CDBG, the one that's the left numerical column. The right one is home. And we're not gonna talk about home tonight because I don't want to overwhelm y'all. It's a different pot of money. We do get it. We get that through the county. There's a consortium. We're not gonna talk about that tonight. But I just want to give you an idea of how the allocation goes across the state of Washington. We get 13 million total. 9 million goes to Seattle, 3 million to Spokane, 1 million to Vancouver, Tacoma 2.3 million. Olympia directly gets 347, Thurston County gets 1.2. So we're gonna fall, and I'll talk about the exact number they quoted us, but we're gonna fall somewhere closer to Olympia. And an annual basis though.
That's not very much.
It's not, but you can do a lot.
Yeah.
So this is an example of, in your packet, you had all the CDBG going back to 2014. So the way the consortium used to work is we got CDBG every 3 years. And a county did all the management of it. So the county had a rotating, like 1 year Tumwater would get it, 1 year Lacey would get it. Another year, the southern communities in Thurston would get it. And now we are going to get it directly every year. Olympia had always been their own. I don't know when they got certified, but they have a little, we're more like Olympia now because we have grown to the point where we can get our own funds. And I don't have a lot of photos, but as this program gets more in-house, you're gonna see more and more photos of projects. coming through and you'll be able to see, but this is Community Action Council Facility Expansion, which is support for abused children and families. It was in 2017, it was a capital project to expand the physical structure where they do support services for abused and neglected children.
See a lot of the
And-
same names.
And
Yeah,
these,
I was
this,
just noticing
this is
that.
just 2023's project that we're funded.
Right.
And you'll notice a lot of the same agencies applied for the Human Services Grant Program. And the funding was similar, so 55, 30. There's some larger capital projects. You see this one, 338. This was a capital project, 150. So the larger ones are typically the capital project. So what's new for 2025? We're becoming our own standalone CDBG community. So that means that funding will be every year instead of every 3 years. The estimated funding is 304. We assume all the administrative responsibility of managing a CDBG program, which is a lot. Previously, it was all done by Thurston. And then we will likely align in your packet, there was a schedule for 2025. And we are likely gonna align our program year with Olympia's and have joint training sessions so that the community members don't have to go to multiple different jurisdictions and who's doing what, and try to coordinate to create less stress on our applicants and understanding like, okay, they're on the same timeline as Olympia. And I even want to reach out to the community and say, you know, what's better? Should we have our application dates due the same time? Or should we have them a week apart or a month apart? So, but we do have to follow these federal guidelines when things are due, so.
For the city of Lacey, is this stuff that's all coming across your desk?
Are you getting,
Yep, please.
are they providing you any support by adding this major program?
At this time, I have not heard of additional administrative dollars going towards this program, but that's not to say in the future that won't occur. Right now, I'm the one kind of getting that off the ground, getting it going, but then as it grows and changes and as I discover what's my capacity, then things might change. So we hope to align with Olympia's schedule and have joint workshops and trainings for the community to come and hear one message that's united.
Yeah.
So what's the next steps? I have to write and present a community participation plan, which in your packet, there was a draft. And it's very, very much just an outline, but you saw how extensive the Thurston County one was. And then I'll bring that back in December, so we will have a December meeting. If I get it all written and done, and I meet with HUD every month and I meet with Olympia every month. And I talked to my contact in Seattle, she's gonna review it as well before I bring it to you to make sure I'm not missing anything in the plan. And then we have to develop policies, procedures, and application, begin writing the 3-year plan. All of this with the idea that we wanna get this money out the door next fall. It would be September 1 would be the start date of the program year for CDBG, for Lacey. And it would be the same as Olympia's timeline. So that's CDBG. Questions?
No, I would just say, I think our city is in good hands with, this new program, coming through you, Michelle. That's just, well, I'm more than happy to just, take your word for it. I know there's some members on the group that'll have more experience than I will, so, thanks for all that information and giving this whole thing to us in this agenda packet. We can look over more too. Anybody else have any comments on that? Nancy?
So I've done CBDG before and I know there's a lot more accountability, which is a good thing. I think, especially since the dollars are so close, as we communicate it to the agencies, we need to let them know that there's a much different standard one as opposed to the other one. It's pretty significantly different.
Seems like it.
That's a good point, and I agree, it is. That's why I like having the flexibility of the other grant
For sure.
program for people who cannot take on the administrative burden of federal funds. Because once you accept federal funds, you're accepting all of their paperwork and their rules and regs, and it could be a lot. If you're a smaller agency,
Not much room for error either.
yes, that's
So
true.
some potential repercussions.
Payback.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Okay, well, if we don't have any more comments or concerns, that is going to be the end of our meeting tonight. So we will adjourn our City of Lacey Human Services Work Group for Thursday, November 7th, 2024.
Are you?
Yes, we're still, I just stopped the share. Did you have a comment
Oh, no.
regarding the meeting? Okay,
Just can't believe it's done already.
I believe we are